Hi, I'm your host, Larissa Worstiak. Through this podcast, I aim to empower and inspire jewelry entrepreneurs and professionals so they can thrive while adding more beauty to the world. I'm passionate about digital marketing for jewelry brands, and I'm excited to share my passion with you. As we all know, jewelry is joy, so I'll gladly seize any opportunity to talk about it. This is episode 216, and you're checking out a weekly segment of this podcast called The Gold Mine, which is a more intimate, personal, and brief take from me about a topic of my choosing, but typically in the categories of entrepreneurship, growth, mindset, as well as my own personal observations about the industry. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. You can get interviews and business development and marketing tips on Sundays, and The Gold Mine with me on Wednesdays. If you're a return listener or viewer, thanks for following along. In this week's episode, I'll be talking about how to be more productive in your jewelry business and with your marketing at this festive time of year. It's cold outside, there are cookies, there are Black Friday sales to shop, there are gifts to wrap, so many excuses not to be productive at this time of year. I know I personally struggle with it. I have a tinge of that seasonal malaise and really would rather just nap sometimes more than any other time of the year. Big disclaimer though, despite the topic of this episode, I don't believe that life should be all about work and productivity. I just want to make that super clear. You're allowed to have a life, enjoy things, take breaks. In fact, I encourage rest and I encourage you to unplug from your business. You're not a machine that should constantly be on. Instead, I'm going to be talking about staying focused and productive in balance with actual life. I mean, as balanced as you possibly can get at it so that you're able to achieve all your goals, but still have all the cookies too. So I'll be discussing the importance of choosing work or choosing rest and not letting the two blend together. 3 tips for maintaining productivity when there are a million distractions, and what to do if you've gone off the rails. So first, let's talk about the importance of choosing work or choosing rest and not letting the two bleed together. So really, one of the most important lessons that I've learned from having my own business is that you really intentionally need to choose between work and rest and then stick to your decision, or you're always going to be feeling bad and guilty and like you're not doing enough. I used to work on the weekends, especially in the height of the pandemic, just because there was nothing else to do. I had some extra time here or there, when really I should have made the choice to keep weekends for rest. Of course, I started to feel really burnt out and I had no boundaries between rest and work. Working at night was something I did a lot during the pandemic when really I should have been resting. So if you have the ability to choose, I know this is coming from a place of privilege. Some people, they have to work when they have to work. But if you really are able to choose when you're going to be working, and choose when you're going to be resting. So now that I went through that period of burnout, I've learned that I really need to set clear boundaries and rules for myself. And I do my best not to break them unless absolutely 100% necessary. I have really clear working hours, the same as I would if I worked a shift job or in an office, and I pre-schedule my days off. If I'm on the clock, then I try to be on the clock in as focused a way as possible. And if I'm off, then I'm off. I'm not checking my work email. I'm trying my best not to think about work, and I'm making this really intentional choice. But even if you do take the time to put this kind of schedule in place to set these boundaries, you'll still have to make these, let's call them micro decisions about work and rest. So for example, maybe in the middle of the workday, you're just freaking tired, okay? You scheduled, you're supposed to be working, but you can barely keep your eyes open at your workbench or at your computer. And because of that, you're just not being productive or getting very much done. So you need to make the micro decision in that moment to take rest and not feel guilty about that, whether that means taking a nap, going for like a brisk walk, stepping away for a little bit, and then fully committing to that decision to rest and knowing that when you come back, you'll be able to work probably better after the fact. Everything that I'm saying, I think is especially true for this time of year around the holidays, because there are so many things going on. The weather might make you feel tired, the early darkness, the cold. So designate time when you're going to do the holiday things, when you're going to shop the sales, when you're going to spend time with family, when you're going to eat the cookies, and then when you're going to work, if you are going to work. You may even want to schedule as much of this as possible on a calendar for yourself, if that kind of helps you set these boundaries. And then don't feel guilty about it because you've already made the decision. And now you're just going to stick to it and feel confident that that's the best decision for you. So now I want to share 3 tips for maintaining productivity when there really are a million distractions. So these are meant for you. Again, if you are supposed to be in work mode and you haven't decided you're going to take rest, and if you're not really tired or you're not unwell, but really you're just distracted because there's something else you'd rather be doing, like X thing sounds a lot better than whatever spreadsheet I'm working on right now, or whatever other thing you really want to do. That's when your productivity is taking a hit, and you may want to try some of these tips to kind of help you get on track and help you make the most of the time that you've designated as your work time. So number 1, give yourself a reward to look forward to. Personally, if I'm having trouble rallying, or I'm just like, I would rather be doing anything else than this thing right now, I'll give myself a block of time to power through the thing I really don't want to do. Maybe it's an hour or 2 hours. It depends how long I think it will take me to get done. And then if I'm able to reach a milestone or finish that task, I'll promise myself a reward. This can be really small. You don't have to spend money on it. It doesn't have to be food. It doesn't have to be extravagant. For me, sometimes it's like I'll let my mind wander and surf the internet for 30 minutes, or like do internet window shopping. I think that's my personal favorite. Or another thing is I'll promise myself a walk, like I get to go outside and listen to my favorite podcast. Whatever it is that's going to make you smile, it could be the smallest thing, but if you can look forward to it, it will help getting through that period of like on work time much easier for you. My second tip is stop judging yourself. You may think that you don't judge yourself, but I think most people tell themselves a lot of negative things over the course of the day without even realizing it, and try to be more aware of those and replace them with positive things that you tell yourself. So most people, I think, when they feel unproductive, they start labeling or judging themselves. They say things like, "Oh, I'm so lazy," or "I'm not good at this," or "I don't like doing this," or "It's just not my strong suit." Being negative about an already annoying or less than ideal situation, I promise, is not going to make it any better. In fact, you're going to demotivate yourself even more. So when I feel discouraged or unproductive, I try my best. I'm not saying this is easy, but I try to put positive thoughts in my head and be nice to myself. Like, yeah, okay, this isn't the most fun thing right now, but I'm grateful to have the work and can get through it at my own pace. Or break up the big, overwhelming task into smaller chunks and then give yourself the gift of small milestones so you feel more accomplished and capable, and treat it like a gift or a treat that you're giving yourself. If I'm feeling extra blah, then I really enjoy firing up YouTube and looking for business affirmations or encouraging pep talks, just to get something positive in my brain that doesn't involve guilt or self-judgment, etc. And hopefully after watching something, even for 3 minutes, you'll likely feel more inspired and focused and ready to conquer whatever challenge you're having trouble getting over at that time. And then my third tip for productivity is get curious. I've found that most of the time when I personally feel unproductive or I'm procrastinating, it's because I'm not 100% sure how to move forward. Maybe it's because I need to make an actual decision about something or figure out how to do something. And that's what's holding me back. Not that I'm lazy or whatever, that I don't care. It's just because there is a difficult challenge that I'm maybe not sure how to move forward with. So on the opposite end of that spectrum, if I know how to do something and I have a decision about something, I can usually breeze through it. I can get through it really quickly. So I know from experience that I'm not a lazy person. Get curious about the reason why you're feeling unproductive. Like, is it because I don't know how to do this? I don't know what the decision is. Why can't you breeze through this thing like you do with a lot of other stuff that feels more routine to you? Do you need help? Are you scared or nervous? Do you need more information before you can move forward? So get curious, identify the root cause, and try to address that first. It'll also help you not be judgmental about yourself because you'll have an actual reason or fact about why this is happening. So those are my 3 productivity tips. Every once in a while, we go off the rails. I feel like for me, especially at holiday time, everything else is more fun than work. So, I think it's natural to get a little distracted, but after a period, you have to get back on track. So it's totally fine to kind of let life be the out of balance thing when you're talking about work-life balance and kind of pursue life a little bit more. And we're totally not machines, as I said before. So the most important thing to do is, I feel like I've said this a bunch of times, but don't judge yourself. See if you can figure out why you went off the rails. If it was because you really enjoyed the holidays, that's a great reason. You should celebrate that. I think that's awesome. In general, is there a pattern? Does this happen every year? Well, okay, just prepare for that, or build that into your schedule because you know that this is a thing that happens, and then start fresh when you're able to. Maybe that's in January or the new year, and let go of any judgments that you had about your unproductive period, because that's not going to help anyone and it's not going to make you more productive to have judgments. What do you think? Does this time of year make you feel unproductive as well? Do you kind of struggle with this, or are there other times of the year when you have these feelings? Leave a comment on YouTube or let me know in a podcast review. You can also always email me, Larissa. That's LARYSSA @joyjoya.com. Thanks for listening or watching.